Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the great AI debate today at our ELTons Festival of Innovation. I'm Neenaz Ichaporia, EdTech Lead at the British Council, and I'll be chairing this session. So today we're discussing a topic of concern for educators worldwide, AI. And more specifically, we will tackle the question, is AI a force for good in language education? Joining me for the debate today are a stellar panel who are all experts in their fields, and I'm very excited to introduce them to you. First up, we have Elena Oncevska Ager, who is full professor in applied linguistics at St. Cyril and Methodius University in Skopje, North Macedonia. Her research interests revolve around language teacher education with a focus on quality teacher mentoring and helping it become widely available. Elena is also co-founder of Noticing, an AI-backed web-based facilitator of mentoring practices. She's particularly interested in the ways in which humans can meaningfully collaborate with AI, what is known as hybrid intelligence, or HI. We also have with us today Dr. Mariano Felice. He is a senior researcher and data scientist for language assessment and learning at the British Council. Mariano's role involves researching the application of natural language processing to language assessment, as well as providing strategic guidance for the development and adoption of AI products and promoting AI literacy. Our third panelist is Guy Zaslavski from Plingo. Guy has been leading edtech ventures for over 15 years, and notably, he's led on developing market-leading edtech and language learning platforms, including the Bloomberg Exam Prep line of adaptive online courses. And finally, we're very pleased to welcome Neeti Tripathi. Neeti is an experienced educator and principal leading innovation in international education across international baccalaureate, Cambridge, and Indian syllabi with nearly 20 years experience. So thank you so much, panel, for joining us. And thank you so much to our audience. I can see you're joining us from all over the world. It's truly an international audience today. First, I'd like to kick off by asking you, the audience, to share your views. Our first poll should appear on your screen in a moment. So what we'd like to ask you today is, who here is already using AI to support their language teaching and learning? So we should have the results coming in now. And you have a choice of options to choose from. You have yes all the time, sometimes, only rarely, or no, not at all. Thank you so much, audience, for voting. And I think we can bring up those audience results now. There you go. We have the results. So, well, a majority of you, almost 70% of you, are using AI to support language teaching and learning, at least sometimes. Some of you are using it all of the time. And another about 26% said only rarely or not at all. So most of you are using AI, and today's debate is going to be really, really relevant for all of you who are either using AI or curious about how to use AI in language education. So in today's debate, I will ask the panel members a number of questions about different aspects of AI in language education. And at the end of the debate, we'll invite you, the audience, to share your views again through the poll. So please do participate and have your say. If at any point you have any technical difficulties, the ELTons team are here to help you via the chat. And if you have any questions for us speakers, please type them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. So let's go to the panel now. Let's begin with the basics. Let's start with what is AI and what are some examples of AI in a language learning or teaching context. And Mariano, I'd like to come to you on this first. Could you give us some examples of AI and briefly explain to us what really is AI in the context of language teaching and learning?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Neenaz. Hi, everyone. So, well, nowadays there are lots of different definitions of AI, especially as the lines are becoming increasingly blurrier. But I think in simple terms, we can define AI as the ability of computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. And what we mean by this is tasks that require learning, reasoning, problem solving, understanding language, and so on. So these are generally complex tasks. And within AI, we have different subfields. So we have things such as natural language processing, so the subfield that deals with everything related to language, understanding and producing language. We also have speech recognition, for example, that deals with audio, and things like computer vision, where we can generate and process images and video and so on. And in the context of education and language learning in particular, I think we've seen many examples. Many of us are already probably very familiar with some of these tools. So I think we've seen things like chatbots, for example, for conversational practice. We have tools for grammatical error correction, so to spot grammar mistakes and help you with expressing yourself in English much better. And then for practicing speaking skills, for example, you can use technologies such as speech recognition or speech to text. I think many of us have also seen examples of automated scoring, for example, in tests, and also things like feedback that we get, for example, using tools such as LLMs and generative AI. So I think those would be probably the most familiar examples that we've all seen and know.
Thanks a lot, Mariano, for those insights. And there is an audience member who's added to what you said as well. Iqbal says also generating activities and games to use during classes. And that reflects some recent research the British Council conducted into AI and ELT. And actually, a lot of teachers told us that they were using it for generating lesson materials and lesson plans. Thank you so much, Mariano, for sharing those insights. I'd like to turn to Elena now. Elena, from your experience, what aspects of language education, both learning and teaching, can AI help with and how?
Yes, thank you. When it comes to supporting learning, be it in the context of learning languages or learning teaching, in my world, we're all learners alongside our students. AI can offer up a vast range of personalized, immersive, and safe environments for learners to explore things, to choose their own learning paths, if you like, and their preferred ways of learning. And we know from the literature that these are prerequisites for involved, enjoyable, lasting learning. We'll learn through active involvement, through powerful experience, by exercising our agency in building knowledge. And this kind of responsibility, I feel, is central to learning. Now, by having AI generate for us, I think we run the risk of these knowledge building processes being narrowed down a little, positioning us at times as spectators of knowledge building, not active agents. So instead of having AI generating content for us, I would like to see AI more used for generating better, richer content, helping us generate better, richer content of our own. And this is exactly what we try to do at Noticing Network. We try to help teachers reflect, plan, investigate their classrooms through dialogue with AI models. These dialogues are designed to prompt richer thinking. And I think, like in any good pedagogy, when using AI, the learner needs to remain center stage. With the teacher or the mentor or the AI model facilitating this knowledge building for the learner and not doing the knowledge building for them. The result is better preparedness for learning language in new ways for students, or for teachers to feel better prepared to design more engaging learning experiences.
Thank you very much, Elena. And I think what you're saying is also being echoed by our audience in the chat. So we have a question from Wasila. Please forgive me if I've mispronounced your name. But the question is, using AI for teachers might be good and useful, but what about learners? They're using AI instead of using their brains. I know that this is a concern that many educators share about an over-reliance on AI, or as you said, AI doing the task instead of us doing the task. So thank you so much for sharing those insights. I'd like to get the other panelists' view on this as well. Guy, would you like to come in on and comment on what are some of the areas in language teaching and learning where we can use AI beneficially?
Sure. And just about this comment this participant made, and using AI is not necessarily, maybe a lot of students think about it, I'm going to use AI to help me with my homework, but we primarily see it as using the AI to either supplement or in some cases replace your teacher or replace your standard boring homework. In Plingo, the app we're developing for English learners, we're using AI extensively. And generative AI is used for creating basically lots of really engaging content. So we think one of the challenges today is that if you just want to teach, let's say, some vocabulary, some nouns, then it's very easy to just pull out a picture of a penguin or ice cream. But then if you want to make a memorable, immersive experience, you could have generative AI to create for even a video of a penguin eating ice cream, and then you involve it in some kind of interactive task. You create a much more memorable, engaging experience that has more learning value. Also, speech recognition, I think, is more interesting in the context of language learning, because a lot of language learners do not use language in the same way as most speech recognition systems nowadays powered by AI have been trained for. Typically, you would have English speakers, native, even English speakers used as the training data for regular speech recognition models. One of the things we had to struggle with, and we came to pretty good results, is recognizing speech by learners where they have a lot of pronunciation errors, maybe very strong accents. In some cultures, Japanese, for example, have even entire phonemes that they're almost incapable of pronouncing initially. So that makes it a very interesting AI problem. There are also AI opportunities when it comes to assessing mastery and predicting performance. So if you want to always cater to the student learning activities or tasks that are not too difficult, not too easy, and take into consideration all of their past learning history, you would probably need a nice AI system for that. I would say there's also meaning inference, understanding the meaning behind their inputs as part of a early development of conversational skills, which we think is really vital. Lastly, I would say pronunciation training is what AI can offer unique benefits in. So it's not just speech recognition, but actually coaching individual users on improving both individual phoneme pronunciation and entire words and the flow of sentences. I think this can also be a place where it'll be a game changer.
Thank you very much, Guy. And you said so many very interesting things there. I think one of the things that resonated with me is that pronunciation is an area that in our research we found there's a lot of work being done, as you mentioned, around helping students correct their pronunciation using AI tools. Adriana in the chat has also commented about how some AI tools can be useful for differentiated instruction. And I think that's partially what you were saying, along with personalized learning as well. So thank you so much for sharing those perspectives. And Neeti, I'd like to come to you now. As a principal of a school, what sort of benefits are you seeing when it comes to using AI in education?
Okay, thank you for the question, and hello everyone. Well, I see lots of benefits. First of all, Elena also spoke about the personalized learning. So it's a really good tool which can help the teachers and the school leaders to make sure that each and every child, because we have kids of all sort of abilities, style, needs, wants. So AI definitely can help us to go and reach to each and every child. So personalized learning pathways are available with the help of AI. Then another thing is that it can help us, the educators, the leaders, the teachers, provide effective assessment, to plan effective assessment, and also give real-time instant feedback. So, the learning and whether learning is happening or not can be mapped together and can be monitored at the same time. Many times we see the teaching is happening or learning is not happening, so we can bridge that gap with the help of AI. Then I feel as leader of the school, I feel that with the help of AI, we can take a lot of data-driven, evidence-based decision where we have to shape our school's future policies or pedagogies and have to be coming up with new technologies, involvement in our school. So AI can definitely help us to take those data-based decisions. I also feel that AI is a great assistance to teacher. It saves a lot of time. They can definitely, take AI's help, and it can definitely help them to enhance their efficacy, their efficiency, because obviously it is here, it is there to assist them. Then I feel again we have diverse learners. It can help us to take to cater to their need also. Another thing which I feel that nowadays AI is really being used to plan and execute engaging learning experiences in the class, so that often the kids they don't get bored, they get involved, they get motivated, they want to participate. So AI can definitely help us in those areas. Another thing which I really feel is very good, again as a school leader, that obviously with new AI tools coming up, we have to upgrade ourselves. So teachers can use it as a tool to have their CPD, continuous professional development. Educators, leaders can plan, because definitely we need to learn about AI, we need to work with AI, and we have to know about AI. So we have to upgrade ourselves. So a lot of PD sessions can plan, keeping that in mind. Well, another thing is we are talking a lot about ethical use of AI. So again, it helps and it forces, I would say, the schools to think into that direction also, that we come up with some kind of AI using policy in our school. We think that how ethical concerns are being taken care of. So we are not closing our eyes from that side. That somebody asked in the chat, how about the learner? They use it, for their homework.
Yep.
So we have to make sure there's a good balance between that. So we've got to work towards it. I also feel that, with the use of AI, we can definitely take care of the parental engagement in the school. There is a time when it really becomes a school for difficult to get into touch with all the parents and listening to their issues, but maybe AI can definitely help us in that area also. And last but not the least, I feel that we talk a lot about fostering 21st century school skills nowadays: collaboration, communication, decision making, presentation. So definitely I can add a lot into that area also. So these are some benefits I see while using AI into schools system and having its impact on education.
Thank you so much, Neeti, for sharing your experience based on your work as head of the school. There's an interesting comment from Chris that links into what you were saying in the chat. He says, I don't want Gen AI to generate materials for me, and I don't want my students to generate materials to send me. I want Gen AI to provide materials based on students' recordings and writing that will help them learn more English. So again, it's interesting to see all the teachers and the educators in the chat thinking about and really expressing what they would like AI to help them with. There are, of course, a lot of claims around what AI can do. Let's think more about the evidence behind these claims. So, Elena, I'd like to ask you this next question as a practitioner, but also as an academic. What evidence is there for the efficacy of AI-powered learning solutions, and what evidence should we be looking for?
Well, the evidence I'm looking for whenever I review any use of AI is whether it supports learner agency. By learner, I mean student agency, teacher agency. I think we're all learners, as I said previously. So does it support agency? Does it rely on the learner's active involvement? Does the learner feel better prepared for their engagement with the AI? There is, of course, increasing evidence of AI successfully supporting learners in developing their productive skills, mostly speaking, writing. AI can act as a conversation partner to help with pronunciation, accuracy, fluency when it comes to speaking, while also, as research suggests, alleviating speaking anxiety. AI can support the development of writing by checking learners' grammar and vocabulary, acting as a companion, writing companion, if you like, as well as providing feedback on their writing. Though I'm a bit skeptical about this last bit, the providing feedback on writing, because our experience so far suggests that AI models may not be as honest as we might want them to be, because they're trained to please, and this search sometimes takes precedence. As for teachers, AI for lesson planning appears to be rather popular, though what we mean by this can range from, I don't know, fill in a quick form and get an 80% finished lesson plan in minutes, to what we do at Noticing Network, which is to simulate a pre-lesson mentoring discussion, a dialogue of sorts, which is meant to enrich teachers' thinking by getting them to revise things, notice any inconsistencies or incompleteness in their thinking, or find those important moments of confusion which trigger new thinking. The idea is to help them get better prepared for the challenges of the classroom, not by any means do any of the lesson planning for them. I think I'm very precious about lesson planning. There's also some evidence that AI can help in the context of AI-supported collaborative learning. For instance, using AI as an additional discussant like Zoom do, which can enrich conversations while role modeling productive group engagement for learners who might not be well versed in group work. Finally, AI now makes it possible for teachers to design adaptive gamified environments, which can lead to yet more immersive learning. I'm very excited about this because I'm all for, learners having memorable experiences aligned to their needs, along the lines of what Neeti was talking about.
Okay, that's a fantastic sort of rundown of all of the sort of evidence-based uses for AI in language teaching and learning. Thank you so much, Elena. I wanted to share, as you said, evidence. Evidence is so important, and you're looking for evidence of does it support learner agency and what is the learner's experience. Tatiana's left a very interesting comment in the chat, or she's shared an experience where she says, we used an AI app for pronunciation training of adult students, and it was based on American English, so our native British teachers scored rather low. It's just an interesting anecdote, I think, that shows what happens when maybe it doesn't work the way you expected it to. Mariano, I'd like to ask you the same question I asked Elena. What evidence is there for the efficacy of AI-powered learning solutions?
Well, I think that Elena made fantastic points. I tend to see this question from two different perspectives, to be honest. I see it from a technical perspective first, and then from a more educational perspective, if you like. So I think that, for example, from the more technical point of view, researchers and developers of AI tools, as part of the development of a tool, they have to carry out evaluation to make sure that these tools perform as they expect, as we expect. So, for example, this means, let's say, in the context of automated scoring, you have to make sure that this system can technically achieve accuracy that is as close as possible to human accuracy, so that you can use this tool as an alternative to human accuracy. So there's that, what I would call the technical point of view. And there's a lot of evidence for that, because as I said, researchers and developers, they have to do this as part of development. And in the case of researchers, they publish papers where you can see all this evidence. They can see how well these things work. So that's the technical point of view. But then I feel that from the educational point of view, which is more in line with what Elena said, I think we still have to prove many of the things that have been mentioned. I think I personally feel we need more evidence of how these tools are effective at helping learners achieve their learning goals. And at the moment, I feel that there are very few studies in this regard, and most of them are qualitative and maybe based on perceptions or interviews and so on, which is fine. But I personally would like to see more objective, quantitative, maybe longitudinal studies looking at the long-term effects and implications. And I think that, I mean, there's a reason why we don't have this evidence now, is because we need time, right? We need to see the effect of these tools, which are very new, and we're still exploring ways to creatively use them, in order to see how these tools have an effect on learning goals and so on. So that is the kind of evidence that I feel we're still lacking, and hopefully we'll see more of in the future.
That's absolutely fascinating, Mariano, and again aligns very much with the research that the British Council carried out, which shows that we need more evidence of whether the long-term effects, actually there are benefits that are longer term or not. So thank you for that very timely reminder. And on that note, we've spent quite a bit of time considering the benefits of AI use in language learning and teaching, but no debate on AI in education is complete without also considering the risks. So I'd like to turn to Guy now. Guy, can you tell us what are some of the risks of using AI in language education, and what should learners and teachers be mindful of?
So I think language learning is a sphere where there are numerous risks that can arise by incorporating AI. But there are also so many different ways in which AI can get incorporated. Some of the top ones that would come to mind, let's say from the learner's perspective, there is the obvious risk of kind of shooting themselves in the foot, so overusing all kind of AI aids to cut corners, cheat in their, basically sabotage their own learning progress. And then this could be mediated by systems that are less prone to such gaming. So basically adapting the system, you know, obviously writing essays that used to be sort of prone, sort of resistant to such cheating, or with the advent of LLMs, it's become completely broken. And then as homework. Then there is the data privacy risk, which is kind of more of a generic thing, but I would say in the context here of children speaking and maybe even having video conversations with systems that are in the cloud. If they're operated by some unscrupulous player, you can imagine all sorts of nightmare scenarios where an AI system could really readily understand, for example, what's the sexual orientation of the child, and maybe extort that child if they're still in the closet. So you can imagine so many bad things happening through the data privacy problem that that AI systems create. From the teacher's perspective, I would say there are, of course, the problems of bias. So if they're using a system, let's take as an example, using imagery for teaching nouns. So you're teaching about what is a nurse. And then most likely, if you use generative AI to create an image of a nurse, it'll be a female nurse. So this kind of perpetuates this kind of gender bias in the culture that nurses are female. And there are numerous types of biases that affect various AI systems. There are also risks of developing over-dependence on AI, and I would say more a kind of risk of the shifting in authority, so that AI systems will become more competent as teachers than the flesh and blood teacher, and then it brings all sorts of questions and problems and risks into how do you handle such a situation. That's it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Guy. That was a very, very well summarized kind of list of some of the key risks, as you said, particularly around things like data privacy, which I know that, you know, concerns many of us, and which is foremost in the minds of many people in the webinar today. That's a very timely reminder of some of the risks of AI. And Guy, you touched upon the idea of the shifting role of the teacher, and moving away from sort of the teacher as central to education, and there's a risk around that. So I'd like to, on that note, come to Neeti. Neeti, I'd like to ask you this question. What can teachers offer that AI can't? What are the limitations of AI?
Thank you so much for asking that question. I really love that question. So I want to start with telling one of the things. We were conducting a research in our school, and we conducted a survey. And one of the students wrote that if all the schools start using AI, the teachers are going to lose their job. So, when I was really thinking about it, and I even discussed this with my team, like why we are not going to lose our jobs, because there are many things which we do and AI cannot do. So, for example, first of all, the emotional support. A teacher is not only a teacher. A teacher has to play many roles. Sometimes we are parent, we are friend, we are advisor, we are mentors, we are guide. We play many role. We provide that emotional support to our student, which definitely AI cannot do. Then a teacher helps the child to build that relationship, not only with their peers, with the teachers, but also with the entire school community. And the teachers in that process also build relationship with the child and child's family. That definitely AI cannot do. This is only done by the teachers. I also feel teachers are very adaptive in their nature. In the class, if they suddenly feel this lesson is not going and I have to change something, or my students are not understanding this methodology is not working with them, they can come up with something instantly which can go well with the class. I feel this can only be done by the teachers and not AI. Then, okay, again, I would talk about the moral guidance, which again, teachers always provide, and they give, and they portray that kind of image. It's a very decent and honest and ethically, morally acknowledged profession, which only we educators know and feel about it. So that kind of thing again comes only from us human teachers, not from AI. I feel also the teachers are great role models. They can encourage that love in among their students, that see, I can do it, so you can also do it. There are times when students just give up, they don't want to do things. Again, teachers come helping them as a support, being a role model to them, offering all sort of help and support. Also, if there are conflicts in the class, students are fighting, they're having issues among themselves, who's going to solve it? Definitely the teachers. So again, this is one thing that definitely we are going to do, and not the AI. And I also feel, I'm talking from a very practical scenario. There are time when students, they just lose interest. We see many students in the class not wanting to learn, not wanting to study, not wanting to participate. So that time the teacher comes very handy in creating the curiosity, sparking a love for learning, motivating them, engaging them. So these things are done only by the teachers. And one of the students once told me that I use ChatGPT a lot. I ask a lot of questions because it doesn't judge me. So yes, I agree that ChatGPT doesn't judge you and can ask a lot of questions, but I still feel it's a very flat and very stable relationship. And but when it comes to the relationship between the teachers and the students, there are many emotions involved. Those humanly emotions, which sometimes take a relationship to a different direction. That is not done by AI. So definitely, I don't see AI replacing the teachers, and I don't see us losing our job because of the AI.
Thank you so much, Neeti, for that really passionate defense of why teachers are still central and really important to education. I am just conscious of time, so I want to turn to Mariano with an audience question, actually. Chandula in the chat asks about AI and the validity and reliability of testing and evaluation. This is something which Mariano, is someone with deep expertise in the applications of AI to language assessment. I'd like to ask you, obviously, clearly, accuracy and reliability are very important. So, what about bias and inaccuracy in AI? Is this something that language teaching professionals should be alert to?
Yes, absolutely. So I think we have to remind ourselves that these tools are not perfect, and they're just as good as the training data that has been used when they were developed. So for that reason, we have to be alert to anything that could go wrong, and especially in an educational context. So one of the things that we have to bear in mind, for example, is that we should be using tools that have been trained for the same population that we want to use this for, and that means things such as the same or similar cultural background, age, level of proficiency, and so on. So we have to make sure these tools have been targeted at the same population that we want to use this with. And to make sure that this is the case, for example, we can look at things such as model cards. In the case of some tools, they provide documentation where you can learn more about how the tools were developed. Also, I think it's crucial that teachers and educators test the tools they want to use in advance. So avoid using the tools for the first time or experimenting in the classroom setting. Try that out first, make sure that they work as expected. Then as you use the tools, monitor their use. If you recommend a tool, for example, to your students, make sure that they share their experiences with you, that you even have a look at the output that they're getting from the AI systems, that it aligns with your expectations. That's one of the ways in which you can raise any issues or see if there are any red flags. Let's say, for example, if a tool makes an assessment of the level of ability of one of your students, and you know that doesn't really align with the kind of proficiency that you see they have in your lessons and so on. So that could be a red flag. So there might be something wrong with the tool, or they might not be using it properly, and so on. So the more that you use the tools yourselves, you test them, you monitor their use, the more you will be able to see if there is anything wrong with them and take action, which I think is crucial. So you might decide to maybe change the tools or change the task or make some tweaks here and there. And for that reason, I think that AI literacy is key. So the more that we can learn about how these systems work and so on, the more we are aware of the risks and what we can do about them.
Absolutely, Mariano. And thank you so much for giving us a sort of a reckoner of the things to keep in mind when we're trying out a new AI tool and how to kind of judge its suitability for our particular context. There are lots and lots of comments in the chat, many more than I can keep up with. And thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions. I think, as one of my colleagues said, if we don't get to every question, we will follow up with an email later with more resources. So look out for that email when it comes to your inbox. I would like to very, very quickly, Elena, before we go to closing statements, if you could come in here. Just on this point about ethics and AI, do teachers and learners need to worry about the ethics of AI? How relevant is it to them?
Yeah, absolutely. We should all be concerned about how ethical our engagements are in society more generally, and our engagements with AI are no exception. Yes, I am worried about students passing off AI-generated essays as their own, because it means that they have missed out on opportunities to actively engage in developing their ideas and enjoying the process and experiencing that joy of learning, that satisfaction of a job well done, which I think is central not only to learning but also to well-being. Equally, though, I'd be worried about teachers being okay with 80% of their lesson planning being done for them. This was echoed in one of the comments in the chat, especially because I consider lesson planning to be central to the teaching vocation. So carefully designing engaging learning tasks for a specific, unique, your own group of students is a privilege and an opportunity to demonstrate that you care, that you're there for them, to support them in their learning and beyond. And I suspect teachers openly talk to their students about lesson planning and their lesson planning co-authorship, shall I say, with the AI. Perhaps this is due to the morality of it. So integrity is a key ethical consideration. Other considerations that I'm just going to gloss over in the interest of time. We talked about privacy. We talked about whether everyone has equal access to these technologies, whether some cultures are linguistic or otherwise are underrepresented or favored. Is AI generated content used responsibly? That's another thing that I think we should be thinking about. Are people engaging with AI in such a way as to enhance meaningful human connection? Are we treating people who engage with AI compassionately and with respect? That is as whole persons and not just numbers. The environmental impact, lots of ethical considerations. Just to touch on some.
Thank you, Elena. Yeah, absolutely. And that could be another entire session on its own, absolutely. But thank you for the summary. Now, in this final part of the debate, each panelist will have 1 minute to state their final opinion on our question. Is AI ultimately a force for good in language education? Our panelists, I'm going to have to interrupt you in the interest of time if you go over a minute here. So let's go to Guy first. Guy, what are your parting thoughts for the audience on this topic? Is AI ultimately a force for good
I
in
think it
language
is.
education?
Yeah, I think it is. Of course, it's going to be offering increasingly greater power, and with that, should hopefully this should be accompanied by great responsibility. I also think that there is the possibility that in the not too distant future, AI will sort of pull the carpet from underneath the language learning market by offering things such as universal translation. And just like Neeti mentioned before, there would be a growing problem of loss of motivation. Kids will think, or adults, why should I learn this language? Like you get Google, like real-time Google Translate overlaid through your AR glasses for at least majority of the population. So I think we're going to see just gigantic transformations facilitated by AI.
Thank you, Guy. That's a bold prediction, and it will be very interesting to see how this plays out in the coming months and years. Let me go to Mariano then. Mariano, what's your take on AI in language education?
Well, I think we have to remember that technology is what we make of it. It's not necessarily good or bad in itself. So it's what we do with it. And I think that because it's all very new and we're still exploring, we're a bit uncertain of how this will play out. But I think it's up to us. And I think today we've touched on amazing ways of using AI positively. And I think that as long as we keep doing that and we are alert to things that could go wrong and take action to minimize those risks, then we are on good track.
Thank you, Mariano. I think that's a very eloquent reminder, and CT in the comments has said something similar. AI is definitely just a tool, and it's up to us how we use it. That's echoing what you just said, Mariano, as well. Neeti, please share your takeaways from today's debate.
Okay, so for me, yes, AI is there. It's wonderful, amazing, taking care of all the learners, providing personalized feedback, creating differentiated instructions, assisting teachers. But for me, if I have to say one bottom line, and that's it, pedagogy before technology. AI is here to stay, but it is here to assist us, not to replace us. That's for me. So I would always encourage pedagogy before technology in the field of education.
Thank you so much, Neeti. And again, a fabulous reminder. And echoing what we've been talking about throughout, which is the centrality and the importance of human teachers as well. Elena, what thoughts would you like to leave the audience with today?
Yes, thank you. Just to address the main question, is AI a force for good? My answer would be absolutely, it can be, provided that we use it ethically in non-generative, non-replacing ways with humans and AI playing to each other's strengths like true collaborators would. To jointly support learner-centered pedagogies, to help develop agency, and to create safe, non-judgmental spaces for meaning making, hopefully, again, working together throughout hybrid intelligence style. Also, AI can be a force for good, provided people are empowered to see through the fog, I would say, of shiny, attractive AI offerings, all the shiny and attractive AI offerings that promise but don't always deliver on these ideals. Only then I think we can emerge from our collaborations with AI feeling better prepared and human.
Thank you so much, Elena. That point you made about collaboration and playing to human and AI strengths is really, really key one. Thank you so much to our panelists on behalf of the British Council and the ELTons for sharing your expertise with us and for leaving us with such insightful and really thought-provoking ideas. But audience, we're not quite done yet. It's now time for you once again to have your say. So our next poll should appear on your screen in a moment, and you'll be able to see the results displayed as well in real time. So our next poll is coming up on your screen now. And this poll is for the teachers in the room. And the question being asked is, will AI change your role for the better? Okay, so I think we can share the poll results and see what our audience is saying. Wow. There seems to be an overwhelming agreement, certainly amongst the educators, that AI will change their role for the better. So a lot of optimism in this room. And quite a few people are saying maybe, or I'm still not sure, which shows the need for us to debate issues like this so that you can take an informed opinion. Right, there's one more poll, and this is for the learners. And teachers, you can also try to answer this one from the perspective of your learners. So that poll is coming up on your screen now, and the question is, will AI make your language learning journey easier? So once again, I think we can publish the poll results. Right. An even more overwhelming majority with this poll, 75% of you saying yes, AI will make your language learning journey easier. Again, a few of you saying maybe, or I'm still not sure, but certainly in this question, the majority seems to have decided that AI will make language learning easier for learners. Just to summarize, we've shared so many key ideas today. I think some of the key takeaways for me from this session were that AI can provide a vast range of personalized, safe environments if used ethically and if used in a way that is suitable for your context. The words that jumped out at me were that AI can, under the right conditions, be used to create memorable and engaging experiences for learners. The promise of differentiated learning, of course, there are issues around data privacy, there are issues around overuse or over-reliance on AI. There is more evidence needed of the efficacy of AI longer term. But I think the words I'd like to maybe leave our audience with today are yours, Neeti, which is pedagogy before technology. And I think that that was a very timely reminder for all of us in today's debate. Once again, thank you so much to the audience and our speakers for joining us and giving us our time today. In a moment, you'll get a pop-up survey on your screen. Please take a couple of minutes to share your thoughts. It really helps us plan and deliver even better sessions in the future. And up next, please head back to the festival platform for sessions on embracing inclusive practices and what you didn't know about online learning. Those sessions are starting very shortly. So do head back to the festival platform for those sessions as well. Thank you very much for joining us today.